All right, guys, welcome to Flav Oriana's MMA show. I'm your host, Flav Oriana, brought to you by Four Corner Sports. All right, guys, so we had some breaking news this afternoon. All right, it was broken out by UFC President Dana White. He had an interview with Brett Okamoto, and he ended up announcing some big major news that's going to be happening for the August pay-per-view card for UFC 265. So one part of the breaking news is that we have a location. We now know where it's going to be held at. It's going to be held back at Houston, Texas, right? We just had a card there not that long ago for UFC 262, which was headlined by Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler, and that was for the vacant lightweight title. And for UFC 265, we already have a title on the line. It was Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. That's going to be for the bantamweight, the women's bantamweight title. But the UFC really wanted to push for the heavyweight title to be put on the line. And they came to agreement Derrick Lewis is going to be fighting on that card. He's going to be fighting in Houston, in his hometown, in front of his family and friends. These AirPod Pros. I don't know why. I don't know if you guys have an issue with them or not. If you guys have them. But they keep on slipping out of my ear. Horrible. I'm not a big fan of these things. But anyways, getting back to what I was talking about. Derrick Lewis is going to be fighting in the main event for UFC 265 in Houston, right? For the heavyweight title, but it's not against Francis Ngannou. And you guys are probably questioning, well, who is it against? If it's not Francis Ngannou, if he's a champion. Well, Francis Ngannou and the UFC brass, they weren't able to come to terms as for a scheduled bout for for Ngannou to make his first title defense. Originally, they wanted to make it in August for the Houston card, but they were unable to come to terms. Ngannou had reached out to UFC saying that he would not be able to be ready by August 7th, that he would be more than ready to come for September 25th when the UFC has their September pay-per-view card. Yeah, September 25th, right? So that was an issue because the UFC really wanted to have a second title for this card, right? To me personally, I don't know anything in particular. I don't know if this is all speculation or not, but it just seemed like the UFC just did not want to have Amanda Nunes headline a pay-per-view card with fans in attendance. I felt like they were okay with it during the pandemic at the Apex Center, but with with fans, a sellout crowd, I don't think they want to do that. All right. Nonetheless, the UFC 250, when she headlined that card, it just didn't do that great of numbers. Sure, we had Cody Garbrandt versus Rafael Assunção, but honestly, like, Rafael Assunção versus Cody Garbrandt co-main eventing, that sounds like something that could be main evented a fight night. Amanda Nunes versus she ended up Felicia Spencer, the Canadian. Didn't do so great of numbers. The big attractions on that card was Amanda Nunes, Sean O'Malley, Cody Garbrandt. We also did have Aljamain Sterling versus Corey Sandhagen, but yeah. But anyways, getting back to UFC 265, Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena will be the co-main event. But the main event for UFC 265 is going to be Derrick Lewis versus Ciryl Gane, who just fought less than 48 hours ago. He ended up fighting Alexander Volkov. I was about to say Alexander Volkanovski. He just finished fighting Alexander Volkov, and he ends up signing a bout agreement so he can have an interim title fight with Derrick Lewis. This will be for the interim heavyweight title. Reason why they're doing this is because of the fact that not Derrick Lewis, but Francis Ngannou and the UFC couldn't come to terms. Francis wanted to fight in September. Derrick Lewis was ready to go for August. They ended up leaning towards more in Derrick Lewis's favor. All right. Now, who's right and who's wrong in this situation, right? I'll tell you why, Ngannou is wrong and why the UFC is wrong, and then I'll tell you why the UFC is right and Ngannou has a point, all right? So starting off with Ngannou, right? Ngannou, he ended up having, remember he ended up fighting only once in 2020, ended up knocking out Jairzinho Rozenstruik on that May card when it was headlined by Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson. Knocked out Rozenstruik inside of a minute, 48 seconds, something like that, and then didn't fight since, right? Dana White said, hey, we're going to have you here. Your next fight is for the belt, right? But he had to wait because in August, Stipe versus DC was still happening. That was for the trilogy, all right? The winner was going to be able to win the series of who won the trilogy. DC won the first fight. Stipe won the second fight. Obviously, we all know that Stipe ended up winning the third fight. So Stipe wanted to rest and wanted to recover. Stipe ended up fighting Ngannou for the rematch back in March, right? UFC 260. Obviously, Ngannou ended up winning. Ngannou was able to celebrate with his family, right? Was able to go to Cameroon. Was able to see his parents. This, that, and the third. Was during that time period, he ended up cornering Usman for one of his fights. That was against Jorge Masvidal back in April. I believe he ended up attending this past card in Arizona. I believe he was also in attendance. Yeah, he was in attendance to watch Israel Adesanya. Tells the UFC, hey, what's it called? He can't fight, right? He's not going to be ready. He'll be ready in September. Here, why I feel like he's wrong. I understand you wanted to visit your parents. Nobody's ever saying anything about you not visiting your parents, right? Going to Cameroon, visiting your people. This, that, and they're showing the heavyweight title belt to your fellow country people. That's all good and dandy. The reason why I say that you're wrong is because he did say in a post-fight interview that he wants to fight within the range of August or September. Did not want to fight immediately. I remember at one point the UFC we're going to try to push for him to fight on International Fight Week. Just because that's always a huge card. They try to, stack it up. But we already know what's going to happen because next Saturday we're going to have Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier for International Fight Week. So they wanted to have Ngannou for the next for the next pay-per-view. Obviously, they never want to put a title fight on a Conor McGregor card because they do not want to share revenue. They do not want to share pay-per-view points with the champions that are on that card because the champions do end up getting pay-per-view points. So they weren't able to come to terms, and this is why I feel like as a champion, you should be ready. All right, there are fighters out there that fight multiple times within a 3-month span. All right, look, we just had Tanner Boser who ended up fighting twice in 1 month. Okay, look at Kevin Hollands in the world and stuff like that. I understand that you guys are not champions or anything like that, but you should have that mindset also because you as a champion, you're just not like any other fighter at this point, all right? There's plenty of fighters that are going to be wanting to challenge you for the belt, okay? And I understand that you're the top, you're the creme de la creme of the weight division. But if you go out there and say you want to defend your belt multiple times, you are frustrated with Stipe Miocic only holding up the division, right? Fighting only once per year because of the fact that he wanted to, only fight title fights because he's such late into his career, and you were complaining about it. Why are you doing the same thing? I understand that there's a 4-month gap period from late March up until August, but you're doing the same thing that you were complaining about. That's why I have an issue with the fact that what Ngannou was complaining on Twitter, saying that where was my interim title fight? Where was my interim title fight? I never got one, and why is Derrick Lewis getting one? It shouldn't matter at this point. You're ready to champion. Why are you complaining about something that has nothing to do with you? Me, I'm the type of person that I want to see everybody get paid. I don't want to see people. I want to personally see people get paid the most of their maximum potential. And why are you trying to get in the way of Derrick Lewis's payday? All right. Ciryl Gane took the fight. I understand why he took the fight on such short notice. Realistically, he's taking the fight on a month and a week's notice, right? I understand why Ciryl Gane took it because ultimate payday right there. Chance for getting an interim title. Him getting an interim title is still a title, okay? And the UFC can now extend, change his contract around in a championship format, okay? And then obviously he will get the winner of Ciryl Gane will get obviously Francis Ngannou, or the possibility scenarios that I'm thinking of that I'll tell you in just a few more minutes. That's the reason why I have an issue with Ngannou. The reason why I feel like Ngannou has a point is because of the fact that also what I just mentioned before, Stipe Miocic, fought once a year, and he won an interim title. He wanted a championship title so bad after he had lost to Stipe. He ended up not losing at that point. Was going through Curtis Blades, went through Jairzinho Rosenstrike, and this, that, and the third. Felt like he deserved an interim title, and Derrick Lewis gets it in such a short period of time. That's the only thing that I can give him. But at this point, it's not much for I could fall back on him. And also, I could also give him the fact that, hey, the UFC is pressing him hard on trying to fight. They could have honestly waited to have Derrick Lewis and Francis Ngannou for the September card, but I understand their purpose is like, hey, they want to put out a big main event for a big sellout crowd in Houston. They can't stall. They don't even know where the next location is going to be at for September. Let's get this guy out and going, all right? We had something good with the lightweight title. Let's do something great with the heavyweight title and have it in Houston. You already have a homegrown talent right there fighting in front of his hometown fans. Why don't you have the hometown kid fight for the belt for the heavyweight championship? But that didn't happen. So I understand they could have waited. They honestly really could have waited just another month and a half more, and they would have gotten the title fight that they wanted. But look, here's the good part about all this. The good part about all this is that the winner between Ciryl Gane versus Ciryl Gane versus Derrick Lewis is gonna buy Francis Ngannou more time onto picking an opponent. Now, do I believe that he's gonna fight on September? No, I do not. Reason why I feel like that is because who else is he gonna fight? Is he gonna fight Curtis Blades? Is he gonna fight Stipe Miocic? I don't think Stipe is gonna fight this early. My prediction is this: it's gonna come down to two opponents, and it's only come down to two opponents. Ngannou's gonna defend his belt either against Stipe Miocic for the trilogy, right? Both guys are 1-1, or he's gonna end up fighting John Jones. Now, I don't have any sources. I don't have any backed up information about this. This is my personal speculation. My personal speculation says that he's most likely going to fight Stipe Miocic. The reason why I say that is because of the fact that Stipe is going to be the cheaper fighter compared to John Jones, because John Jones has already been asking for the bag. He's been asking for tons of money. All right, I don't know the number. Dana White has said something about Deontay Wilder money, which is about like $30-something million that Deontay Wilder got against Tyson Fury. John Jones declined that. He's like, there's no way that I ever asked for anything like that. John Jones said that he wanted something like $10 million. I can't imagine the UFC is going to give him $10 million, for show money just to appear for the fight, make weight. I have a strong feeling that it's going to be Stipe Miocic. Reason being, they have history. All right, Stipe won the first fight, and Ngannou won the second fight. All right, this is for all the marbles right here. Right. This could possibly, in my opinion, be Stipe's very last fight, because Stipe is already this late into his career. If he loses this fight against Ngannou, I can't see him, running it back, for another title run this late into his career. All right, that's just my personal opinion. If Stipe wins, then you can build up better things. Use the whole term slogan of, the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time facing the greatest light heavyweight fighter of all time, and then move on to the John Jones era. But I certainly do feel like this is going to be, buying more time for Stipe Miocic. Stipe Miocic has just said that he is building up muscle. He is getting bigger, all right, to fight Francis Ngannou. I personally said it was a big mistake for Stipe to go light, to go relying on speed, because you need some muscle mass. You need some body weight. You need something of a stronger chin, more weight in that chin to absorb the punches from Francis Ngannou. That was a light Stipe right there. I think if you put a heavier Stipe at 250, 255, 260, I think it'll be a totally different matchup. Especially with the fact that Stipe could use his wrestling, and Ngannou ended up stuffing that takedown like it was nothing. But getting back into Derrick Lewis versus Ciryl Gane, I think this fight is a phenomenal matchup. I can't wait for this matchup because of the fact that you have two strikers, all right? One is a Muay Thai fighter. The other one is more of a boxer-oriented, brawler type of fighter in Derrick Lewis. Me personally, I think this should be an easy steal of a fight of the night. I think that, my personal opinion, the way I see it, I never bet against Derrick Lewis. Never have, never will. My motto is, you're giving Derrick Lewis 25 minutes to land that one punch, right? That's plenty of times for one human being to land that one punch, and I think Derrick Lewis gets it done in his hometown. I think Ciryl Gane, he does have power. I don't know if he has that knockout power to knock you out. I think he's more of a technician type of fighter, where he's a points fighter, where he's going to just go tit for tat for you. Derrick Lewis is the type of fighter that's going to knock you out and put you to sleep. You saw what he did to Curtis Blades. You saw what he did to Alexander Volkov. You saw what he did to plenty of other fighters. I think this is Derrick Lewis' time to capture a belt, and I think that he'll be giving Ciryl Gane his very first loss in MMA. So then, guys, that is everything that I have to conclude with there's breaking news of the new main event for August 7th in Houston, Texas for UFC 265. It is the interim title fight. Derrick Lewis versus Ciryl Gane. Winner most likely gets the heavyweight champ. All right. My speculation is that this is going to buy enough more time to build up the trilogy between Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. I believe the winner of Ciryl Gane versus Derrick Lewis fights the winner of that potential title match in 2022. All right, guys, that covers everything on Flavio Rihanna's MMA show. I'm your host, Flavio Rihanna. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit that like and subscribe button and tell your friends about this show. This show rocks. All right, guys. Until then, peace, guys, and have a good one.